Good evening and welcome to a new edition of To The Point. I'm Dina Osman. As usual, after the 25th of January revolution, we are digging into a lot of issues. And unfortunately, not only are we delving into a lot of financial and other forms of corruption, but the usual series of missed opportunities. Tonight on To The Point, we'll be delving into another one of those missed opportunities which could have turned Egypt 180 degrees, an opportunity which was proposed in the early 80s and to date, almost 30 years later, still not developed, undecided or what have you. The idea was a development corridor that is basically a superhighway that will take us all the way from the Mediterranean in the north to Lake Nasser in the south. The details of the project will be delving into in a few moments with a very distinguished gentleman. The project, which was postponed or put on the shelves like a lot of treaties and projects and otherwise, it was dealt with as nothing but mere ink on paper. The project, which was not implemented to uplift this country, to be implemented today will unfortunately cost fourfolds. When we know the amount of, or how much that would it cost to implement the project, we will sense that it is nothing compared to other numbers that we've been hearing of as of late. With us this evening is a very, very distinguished gentleman, a gentleman which has been recognized internationally, a gentleman who is an example that a lot of the youth will aspire to reach the same level of development and contribution, a gentleman who was unfortunately recognized internationally before locally. Again, an example of the missed opportunities. With us this evening on To The Point is Dr. Farouk El-Baz, a research professor and a director of the Center for Remote Sensing at Boston University. He also participated in the NASA US Apollo program as a supervisor of lunar science planning. This gentleman is also the pioneer in the application of spaceborne data to groundwater exploration. He is a member of the United States National Committee for Geological Sciences of the National Academy of Sciences and serves as on the board of trustees of many academic and scientific organizations. He also won numerous honors and awards, including NASA's Apollo Achievement Award. But in my opinion, the most important of all that is that he is an Egyptian, born, bred, and educated. Since we're always talking about the problem of education in Egypt, he is an example of the kind of person that this country, Egypt, can give birth to. But unfortunately, he was recognized abroad, not here, and we want to change this in the coming few years. Let's hope this will be an after effect of the 25th of January revolution, that we can recognize Egyptians here in Egypt. Your Excellency, a pleasure to have you with us on
Thank you very much,
To The Point. No matter how much I talk about you and lots of other Egyptians, I don't think in the brief time I have, which I grabbed before you were running off to the airport. I know you're traveling tonight, so I don't think I can give you enough credit. But I know that I and a lot of other Egyptians aspire to one day contribute and achieve recognition, but hopefully at home.
That pleases me very much. Thank you.
Egypt witnessed 180-degree change after the 25th of January. How do you feel about what happened? Did you ever forecast that it would happen?
First, I'm elated. I'm delighted. I feel proud of the Egyptian youth. I feel that what I thought might happen way in the future happened now. I certainly was aware of what the situation has been and expecting a change. I did not expect it right away now. And I've written many comments of that nature in my books and in my writing, knowing that, and I wrote once, I went back to some of the writings and I saw that I read that in my writings in the past, that once in a while during history, Egypt would go asleep, kind of.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's absolutely nothing. It disappears from the map. Nothing, no progress, and nothing happening. And then the Egyptian people would rise, he wrote that, would rise and change things, and change them drastically,
yes.
and pull Egypt back to the position that it deserves among the nations.
Some people are saying that, well, the youth might have implemented, but there are lots of other hands behind the scenes that have been putting the agenda together, and the youth were nothing but a tool of implementation. Do you believe that?
Not at all, and this would be true if the youth are being moved around by somebody else. And as soon as I heard about the youth revolution, and as soon as I heard that some people would like to come and represent the youth or talk on their behalf, I wrote directly, immediately to the youth. I addressed them. I said, do not allow anybody to represent you. You don't even send anybody out of your own circle to represent you. Stand your line, stand firm, do not move a penny until your main demand is met, and this is the only way to do it, and this is the only way to make sure that they remain strong and focused.
Is there anything that we should fear? After, I mean, you've been in Cairo for a few days. After you came in, was the impression that you felt or sensed when you were abroad, is it the same as when you arrived on ground, or do you think that there is something to fear?
No, I personally have no fear whatsoever for the revolution, not one. Because I read about revolutions in the past, revolutions in Russia and France, and you name it. Revolutions are. I'm kind of very interested in what revolutions have made out of the ones that went well and the ones that went bad. So, so revolutions can be, and our own revolution. The reason I'm interested in it very much, and I read about them all, because I personally thought that our revolution in 1952 will take us way up, and we'll do such and such, and we will do all kinds of things, and that's why I wrote the letter, the article about the generation of failure. I said we failed in all the things that we wanted to do. We did not succeed in one thing at all of our dreams. We failed in all of them, and failed miserably. Because of one very clear and specific thing. Because we put all of our trust in institutions. When we said we are going to make Arab unity, and we thought, yes, of course, so the Arab League, and the Arab heads of state will meet together, and they will decide that we will make a federation and make one to represent them, and they will have the same power, and we put our eggs for Arab unity into the Arab League. It's an institution. But the institution itself is lousy. Is disastrous. It's better for us that the Arab heads of state don't meet.
You mean institution as in governmental institution?
Yes. Well, this is
well, there was no really private sector at the time, so.
Sure, that's something by the government that does it. And then we thought we'll free Palestine, all right? Who's going to do that? The institution of the armies. And because of that, there was an emblem in Egypt during my youth that says, no voice higher than the voice of the battle. Meaning, shut up. Don't say a thing. I'm going to run the show, and they will do all of it. And we depended on it. We actually accepted that. Not accepted, we encouraged it. Because we thought, here are the institutions that will do this and this and that. And we thought the institution of higher education will fix illiteracy. I thought, yeah, we're college students. We don't do anything in the summer. Like the Ministry of Education will get us in the summer, will teach us 1 week or 2 weeks how to teach people how to read and write, and they will send us to the cities, the villages, the oases, and we will completely eradicate illiteracy in the Arab world. But we depended on what? We depended on the institution of the Ministry of Education. The institution of Ministry of Education is a disaster itself. They don't even know what education is. They have no intention of spending their effort and their minds and this and educating. They go to their jobs and they leave, and no matter who's educated, who didn't, they don't give a damn, because the institution itself is lousy. So we put all of our eggs in the institutions, even if the Ministry of Education in some place in the Arab world is very good, but when you put all of your trust in the institution, you forget the individual.
Yes.
You forget the person. And the good person is the one that fixes the institution. But the bad institution can kill all the good people. So I thought, that's it. So that now we have to refocus our efforts on individuals, the people, the man and the woman, the girl and the boy, the kid, whether it's male or female. This is the one thing that we should concentrate on, the individual. We encourage them, we educate them, we train them, we push them, we give them self-confidence, we clap at them, we allow them to dream, to think big, to think out of the box, to innovate. This is what builds countries.
Examples such as yourself, and we have a lot of Egyptians that were recognized worldwide in different disciplines. Why is it that even though we know there's nothing wrong with the Egyptian mind, and at one point there was nothing wrong with the Egyptian education, because you were educated here, why is it that those that set up this system, what went wrong? Why couldn't they set up an appropriate system so that we can maintain appropriate and high levels of education, we can have the adequate and efficient institutions to develop this country and maybe lead the rest of the region, which is what was expected of Egypt. This is the role that people still are expecting of Egypt. What went wrong?
We placed loyalty on the wrong things. Totally. Even when I was a kid, when we went to school, we would go to school before we go to our classes. We would sing something for the country and this and that, and we would say the last 3 words that we say every single day. Loyalty to God, to our country, and to our king. That's what we say every single day. To repeat it, so we can. This would be it. And loyalty to God is a disastrous thing. What do you mean loyalty to God? God wants you to worship, not to be loyal. Loyalty meaning what? Meaning you're going to make an organization and you tell me do this or do that. No, I worship God myself. It's true, to God directly. And then the country doesn't want you to be loyal. The country needs you to be part of it, to feel intimately being part of it. And loyalty to the king, meaning loyalty to your boss. When we were loyal to Gamal Abdel Nasser, our president, and then when you're loyal to the president, then you become loyal to the president of the university, loyal to the head of the department where you work in. And that is a killer. If you become loyal to any person, you will never really see his good points or his bad points. You will never fix it. And he becomes the man who owns, he feels that he owns this thing. A minister can feel that he owns the ministry. And he will say, I said so. Regardless of who said no, that's not the way to do it. And the people that work for him, they will say, yes sir, yes sir. Look at all the president from Abdel Nasser time until now. He says, boo. We said, yes sir. And then we'll go this way, absolutely. And everything comes like that. And then when he wants supreme loyalty, he will appoint the people in the big positions, the people of the trust, the ones that he trusts them, meaning his buddies, his relatives, or the people that he knows. The minute you do this, you ruin the country. If you appoint in big position people of the trust, you're doomed.
Which has been the case.
Which has been the case from the day of the revolution. What do you want to do? If you want to make this country good, you appoint in every position, from the president all the way down to El-Baz. It's the people of the knowledge, the people that know how to do it well. And select from them the best one that knows how to do it best.
How do you feel about religion interfering in politics? Right now we're talking about religious parties like the Muslim Brotherhood, for example, and otherwise, I mean, this is a start and then we might have others. But how do you feel about a political game being played with the religious
groupings or religious and this and that? First, my father was the chief of Islamic jurisprudence at the Al-Azhar University. So he was an Hazri from way back. And he was the teacher of Sheikh Sha'rawi, and so he has a history. And everybody, the older people of the Azhar, all of them know that it was Sheikh Said. I'm saying this to tell people that you didn't even question one word about what I'm saying regarding religion. Because
but that's because when the Azhar was an institution that had a voice.
The Azhar was an institution. The Azhar, the head of Al-Azhar was not appointed by the government. It was Hayat Kibar Ulama, and all of that, all of these wonderful things where Al-Azhar was something. And so I am a Muslim, and certainly I think that Islam is a wonderful religion, and certainly I think because all of these kinds of things that are talking, and we had our buddies from the college, that we had both the Communist and the Muslim Brotherhood, and we feel very bad about the fact that the ones from the Muslim Brotherhood that were my classmates were treated very badly, were imprisoned, they didn't want. So I know that the Ikhwan Muslimin were badly treated throughout the time from when I was a kid in the university. So I certainly am, the way I know them as people that were really good people and this and that. However, I actually believe that religion has absolutely no position whatsoever in the politics of the place or the region or the language of the language of the laws that control the country or this or that. Religion is between you and your God, and religion is between me and my God. That is all we need to know about it. If you want to become socially active and do the wonderful things for the people, yes, wonderful, because religion itself and Islam asks you to be that. Ad-din al-mu'amala. You have to think about the person who is weak and this and that. But to tell me that I would like to get an Islamic group or a Muslim to rule this land or to do this and that or change the law so that only Muslims have the right and this, this is total nonsense. And I personally would not accept it myself at all.
You proposed the development corridor in the early 80s. Why wasn't it implemented?
In many ways, I am delighted that it wasn't implemented during this time because I really am. Thank God. It comes from God, that one. I really am so delighted that it has never even started then, because it could have been one of the projects that became a disaster, one of the projects where corruption had cut it to pieces, of course. So thank God it wasn't. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry.
So it was delayed nearly 30 years and you're happy?
I'm very happy, really. Because when I proposed this project, between me and myself, I really thought that this is something that will happen someday. No matter what. And I didn't care whether it happens during my lifetime or not, because this is something from my geological point of view and my knowledge of Egypt, I knew that this is something that will happen. But when, I don't know. And thank God it never happened then, because now it can happen in a clean slate.
Let's keep our fingers crossed. I know that a few days ago you had a meeting with the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, so to speak. I'm still using the language that was used in the past. The transitional government. And statements coming out of that meeting seemed very positive. How do you feel about those statements, taking into account that this is a transitional government?
Yes. In many ways, that kind of project doesn't depend on who is in the government at all. If it is something that can be implemented on the right path, it doesn't matter how many governments come and go at all.
Okay.
So it doesn't really matter. And it's another thing that is another godsend is the fact that the previous government had asked a body of technical people to study this project from all its points of view.
The previous government, as in Ahmed Nazif's government?
That is correct. And there was a whole bunch of ministers headed by Faiza Abu Naga, who was the Minister of International Cooperation. And they have been studying this, and the study itself was part of a group of people that are all economists, and then they brought in geologists and brought in... Anyway, there was a real honest-to-God review of that project from every point of view, geological, topographical, and they just finished their work now, a few months ago.
Okay.
The research was just finished.
And what was the conclusion?
Complete support in every way, and even improvements a little bit. Meaning, for instance, I had 12 east-west connectors. They came and they said, we're going to actually, because there are other places where we need them, we will add 3 more connectors. I said, wonderful, this is another, any improvements like that, wonderful. We need to make sure that this line connects to a line that will go to the Red Sea. Absolutely wonderful, that's good. So all of their suggestions were very good and very positive. but also the study was finished now by a group of unrelated people to the project, people that grouped together experts, thought about it, calculated how much it will cost, calculated what it would do to the economy of Egypt, and they came very positively only now. Yeah, as if it is ready for this government to look into it.
Okay. The problem that we always have from one government to the government is that whenever someone is sitting in a seat and he gets out of that seat, the new person that comes, he just crashes everything and starts from the beginning. Yeah. And unfortunately, he never reaches anywhere, because by the time he's about to get somewhere, if he gets somewhere, then someone else comes and he crashes again. Yeah. Do you think this will happen to the development corridor? Now that the study is ready, the current government, the transitional government, is saying finally, well, we are in support of it. Do you think a few months from now we'll have this permanent government set in and just crash the whole thing and we're back to square one again?
Very good. This example is wonderful. I mean, you put Dina, you put
because this is what's happening. This is what has been happening since I recognized that I'm Egyptian. Let's put it that way. I became aware that I'm Egyptian.
That is right. You put your finger on the reason of my saying my generation is the generation of failure.
Is it failure of lost opportunities?
No, total failure.
I'm trying to be a diplomat here. Lost opportunities.
Total failure. Okay. Let's put where it is. Yeah.
Okay.
And it is another thing to think about this program as a government program. First of all, they suggested that the government will put into it something so that, because I've always persisted and insisted that this is something that is not done by the government at all. And then in the meeting,
yes,
when they said something and they said, well, the government can put some money in it and so on, and they said, no, the government should not get into it by any way, because the government will ruin it. I'm talking to the Prime Minister and the
current
yes,
Prime Minister.
I said this will ruin it.
Yes.
And then he will say, why? I said, because this is not something for a governmental thing. This is something that can be put together by Egypt for Egypt. Meaning that all I need is an association, a board of trustees, a company, a corporation, some structure of very decent people, knowledgeable people on top to run it, supported by a very top-notch technical people to do the work, and it would be something that I get the money for it, knowing that that money will make money. Meaning what? Meaning, and they'll say, there is a plebiscite on this here, and we're going to issue shares. The share is £1. Any Egyptian can run into you want to buy 1,000 and buy 1,000 and so on, but some people will buy.
So
10.
it's not kind of this thing whereby we have X, Y, and Z businessmen who are taking control of it, because now we have this allergy against businessmen.
I have more of this allergy than any Egyptian, because I see it from outside, and that kills me. Okay. No, I'm not even give anybody the right to own any of this land.
Okay.
They will use this land. They will lose this land. For 20 years, 100 years, but you don't own it. Why? Because I don't want somebody to come and say, I'm going to take 20 kilometers square
and do whatever I want.
And they sit, or sit in it, and then cut it into little bits and pieces and sell it 10 times more, and then I will make 6 million.
Which is what happened.
None of that. And if you want to do something, come and do it on this land. The land is not yours. The land is owned by the development corridor. It's a commission.
This is excellent. Now I'm going to raise two issues with regards to the issue of the land. First of all, as we are hearing as of late, and it's being investigated right now, are you sure this land is available?
Because this land is available as what?
Because we know that a big chunk of our land, mine, yours, our kids, and everybody's land, has been, I'm not going to say sold, because if it costs 5,000 per meter and you're giving it out for £5, then it's not sold. It's been distributed to various businessmen, government officials, and what have you, and this is a case that's being investigated right now. The land that you have allocated for this project, were you told that it is available, or are we going to reclaim it from Mr. X, Y, and Z?
If you go there and you find that it's the X, Y, and Z owns it, you bring in an army, Egyptian army, have always protected, your job is the protection of Egypt's land, come and take these people and dump them in the trash. Instantly.
Okay.
If this land is the land of Egypt is owned by the people of Egypt. It is not owned by the government of Egypt. By the people of Egypt to be used for the benefit of the people of Egypt. Anybody that will think that I will go even. There are some people that will go today to see the lines that Dr. El-Baz wrote in the الحتة دي. We're going to go there and take a and do something. Let them do it. Because the following day will come in with army tanks to dump them in the Nile. None of this. Nobody will own this land. This land is for the use of the Egyptian population, for the benefit of the people of Egypt. Period.
How can you get people to another issue, which is the trust? How can I'm going to invest, I'm going to put 10 pounds in this part, and I'm not going to own the land, but I'm going to own the project.
Yes.
Part of the, how can I trust the government, for example, that it will not come and say, get out, I'm going to do something else here? You know, the credibility issue, which we're suffering from right now, and it will take years, I think, to mend it.
Yeah.
What will be the safety net for those people?
At the very beginning, we were going to put the government in a box. We'll say to the government, you have nothing to do with this situation. You are going to make all the laws, all the regulations. You are a regulator. The government of Egypt doesn't own Egypt. The government of Egypt is supposed to make sure that the things in Egypt are happening in the right place for the benefit of the Egyptians. So you regulate. Your job is to regulate. Consider the environmental issues. Consider the such and such. Consider population growth. Consider all of these things and write down the regulations for how this thing happens. And then you shut up and you have nothing to do with it. The ones that will control it from there on is a committee of the board of trustees of people, clean, directed, knowledgeable, some of them from abroad, some of them from other countries. It doesn't matter. I'm going to bring in a bunch of board of trustees that is trustworthy.
This is music to our ears.
Yeah,
trustworthy. This is music.
A board of trustees that trust each and everyone is trustworthy, because we're going to put the future of Egypt in their hands. So I must trust them 100%, or else get the hell out of here. We don't want. I want somebody to be totally trustworthy.
Dr. Farouk, thank you very much. We'll continue with part 2, details of the project and how it will be implemented. Thank you very much for joining us on To The Point. Part 2, don't forget to join us. Details of this development corridor project will be with you. And on that note, have a pleasant evening and good night.